People, Deluded, I'm back again. It's Friday, it's Q&A day. You know, let me not waste any more time and crack on with exactly that. We've got some decent questions. I thank you all for your questions. If I've missed you out, please feel no sort of way. I haven't done that intentionally. It is what it is. I clearly state out when and how to offer your questions. You know, look out for the communities tab. Typically on a Monday or Tuesday, I'll ask for your questions and set a deadline, or just comment it under the previous week's video and we'll get around to it. If you fail to do both of those things, or pay attention on Twitter when I ask you your questions, you fail to do both of those things, there's nothing I can do, you know. So I thank you very much for your questions that you've asked. I thank you very much for your viewing. I thank you very much for your support. Make sure you like, comment and subscribe if you haven't already. Let's crack on with the questions, people. Tom. And again, if it's not Tom, it's Omar or it's Diabolical, you know. 3 names, you know. Life on Planet X, 4 names off the top of my head, you know. Off the top of my head that are always consistent. There are a lot more. There are definitely a lot more. Like each one teach one off the top of my head as well. 5 names that are consistently always here with the Q&A questions, man. So I appreciate you lot each and every time. Thomas said... Oh, I wasn't expecting that one, man. You lot are not going to let this one go in it. My whole little passionate rant in Sunday League. You lot are not going to leave me alone. Even my manager found out about it. Like, allow me. But you said, hope you're doing well, DG. I most definitely am. Hope you and yours are equally as fine. We've seen your motivational team talk for AFC Edmonton, but when can we expect to see you giving the hairdryer treatment to our first team players? A few boys could do with a DG/Arteta grilling. I mean, if Arteta ever wants to bring me, I mean, not that I've accomplished anything in the game to these lot, but I would love it, man. You know I'd love to work for Arsenal. I don't know, man. In relation to that, I've told you already, man, I was losing. We lost 6-1. A lot of people think that's at half-time. I don't do that at half-time. I'm not a captain who shouts it after the game. I don't believe in shouting. I don't react to shouting, but certain things needed to be said. It was more not the volume of what I was saying. I was trying to hit home what we're doing, you know. And what I like about that video is, for me, with a lot of my fans or people that commented negatively or positively, I got to see people who understand this thing and people who don't understand football. For those who didn't understand football, of course it's funny. It's always funny to see people lose their emotions, but they thought, oh, what's he doing? He's, you know, he's 25, it's Sunday League, he's not going to be a pro. And you're right. You're right. A lot of that is right. You're a dickhead, but you're right. But the real ones understood that it doesn't matter if it's Premier League or Sunday League. There's certain things you need to carry on playing football. For me as well, we're all putting our time into this. You know, we're all putting our time, you know. We could be doing better things on Sunday. You know, you could be doing other things. We're not little kids anymore. We're not 17, 18 with all due respect. We've got obligations to do. We've got bills to pay. So I'm offering my time to train and play in the week. And obviously twice training and a match. And obviously we're paying money. For me, like, if we're paying, like, we're not footballers. So even more reason to try. We're paying to wake up early and play football. Why lose, innit? And it got a reaction the week after we only lost 2-0, you know. Still searching for that win. It's been 3 games, no wins. It's fairly tough, but that was a 2-0 defeat. Still conceded 2 dumb goals, but we won the second half. It was the most positive second half I've seen so far. So hopefully we can, you know, put some things on the board and do something. But, you know, if you're looking for a team and you're not far, AFC Edmonton, man, please follow them on Twitter. We need some players, man. You know, if you're a centre mid especially, if you know your shit, don't come, though, realistically, man. If you know you can't play 11 aside, don't come. Because I had to tell some man that off the camera as well. Lovely question, Tom. Johan's asked, do you think Lacazette should be sold this summer to avoid having 1 year left on his deal next year? Keep up the good work. 25k soon come. By God's grace, that comes. And I would say, based on what Raul Sanya and the whole club collectively said, you know, if anyone running down their deals, it's a bit of a myth. You know, he's contracted until 2022, so it's not exactly 1 year. So there is an immediate rush to sort out his decision in relation to if he wants to stay and how it impacts what we're allowed to do. But there isn't. So I think Lacazette, I think the club are open. I don't think the club are openly going to force Lacazette out. I do think if the opportunity presents itself where they could, you know, get 50 million or 40 or something similar for Lacazette or whatever, they will do it. I just feel they won't force him out. I feel they, you know, same with Maitland-Niles. I don't feel truthfully everybody wants Arsenal wants Maitland to go, but funds need to be raised. I don't think anybody really wants to sell Guendouzi, but his one is different because now it's become an attitude thing. So, you know, you look at the players that probably need to be moved on that are not good enough and things, they're not really going to bring in any key funds, and really we're trying to push them out. Like Socrates, we're really going to have to force teams to go for Socrates because he's on 95 bags a week at 32. You know, if you're, you know, are you going to take a chance on that? I wouldn't. So I don't think he should be sold. I don't think there's a rush out. I think it all boils down to Arteta, really. If Lacazette is wanted by Arteta, then I think we should use him, because Lacazette has a lot of qualities in the side. Yeah, Aubameyang is the better striker. He's a 20-goal thing, but the link-up play, the hold-up play, you know, over a course of a season, you need Lacazette. He will stand up to be counted, as much as I feel he can be inconsistent. So I don't want Lacazette to go, but, you know, if he wants to leave, then keep it moving. Live from Planet X has said, what would our reality look like right now if Emre got that new contract? Who knows, man? He might have turned it around and got us playing, but I think it would have just continued to be that stale, cowardly football. I do think potentially Aubameyang hasn't signed a new deal, but I do think potentially Aubameyang and a few other players would have left this club, really and truly. It wouldn't have been good under Emre at all. So it is what it is. LB has said, do you actually think Laka is leaving and should leave? Should leave? From his and the club's perspective. Furthermore, who should we get to replace him? In relation to replacements, I don't know, my guy. I really don't know. I've kind of answered this question already. I think Lacazette is open to playing Champions League football and leaving if the opportunity presents itself, but I don't think he's actively going to force himself out, and I don't think the club is going to do the same. Joe has said, if we do end up selling both Maitland-Niles and Bellerin, who should we go for? Surely Cedric. It's got to be our backup right back. I'd like Semedo at Barcelona. I know he got spun. I wouldn't mind Max Aarons, even though I think people overrate him. You'd be inclined to believe if a right back has to come to this club. You've let Osei to go out on loan. Potentially Maitland-Niles and Bellerin, beyond speculation. I mean, just at speculation level, could both leave. You wouldn't have to bring in a right back, because you'd be betting on a lot. You know, if them existing players mentioned leave, just based on who I know can play right back or do a job. Saliba can do a job at right back, but you don't want him there. Mustafi has done a job at right back, but you don't want him there. Socrates has previously been shoehorned, but you don't want him there. I'm so sure against Man City away from home, after the restart, Saka played right back, but you don't want him there. So we potentially have to bring in a right back. So hopefully we do something in that regards. Jacob is... No, sorry, Jacob, man. That's the same question, my guy. Apologies, but it's more or less the same Lacazette question, bro. You're slightly different. Of course, if Lacazette left, Eddie probably get more minutes. Matud, forgive me, he said, how do you think Arteta will approach our defence this season? Flat four of Gabriel and Luiz, while rotating Saliba in the Cup / Europa League to ease him in. We'll play a back three with Gabriel, David Luiz and Saliba. Well, you know, we're about to play the Community Shield. I'm inclined to believe he'll go with a back three in the Community Shield. You know, we haven't had much time with pre-season. Long term, I want to see a flat back four, admittedly. I know people will question, you know, Maitland-Niles' ability to play in a back four versus a back five. You do see a difference to a degree. I would like to see Gabriel and Saliba from the start, or definitely I would like to see them both blooded in. I think Saliba, you know, let's just get, it's not a holding thing where holding came from Bolton and we need to ease him in. I think Saliba needs to fail fast, be thrown into that. There's no substitute for playing games. And I think as much as he's still a young man, you know, I think people underestimate the platform. You know, being at St Etienne for a season or a season and a half in the first team, or 2 seasons basically, has done for him. So I think he should be blooding in. Gabriel's got a bit more experience. The problem is David Luiz. On one hand, I think it should be Gabriel and Saliba from the jump. On the other hand, it's going to be Luiz and something. I think on Saturday, there's a big chance you see holding David Luiz and obviously Saliba. Equally, I would like to see David Luiz, Tierney and Saliba if that had to be it. But we'll have to see, man. We'll really have to see. I do think Arteta wants to go to a back four of sorts. I don't think he wants to play 5 at the back. A lot of the things... reasons for us playing back with 5 at the back is because clearly we look stronger, clearly we're a bit more shambles, and I think, you know, it doesn't help us. We're setting up with a back 3/5 against a team that's going to have 2 banks of 4, you know, because there's not really an attacking mandate from our club like that. So I'd be inclined to believe he wants to go back to a back 4, but right now, based off last season, we clearly looked fragile defensively, so I think we will, but it'll be a process. Last question on Twitter, Each One Teach One has said, good question. Good question. What is the best thing to happen to you recently and how did it benefit you? And what was the worst thing and what did you learn from that? Keep going. You're doing your thing. Good question. Good question. I would love to do your question as a bit of service and of taking the time to really deep that, because that's a good question. I don't think I'm going to really answer that with any justice. The best thing. The best thing. I'd say starting YouTube because I didn't really realise I had. Oh, you said recently. Recently is a tough one, my guy. You know, best thing to happen to me recently. I just think, you know, I'd say getting more subscribers, to be fair, getting to 23, and I think I'm very close to 24 already. I'd probably say that. I'm starting to get a bit of contacts in the game at different levels with coaches, agents and scouts, and they're starting to recognise my work, and people are starting to take me in just that little bit, man. Just finally getting a little bit of credibility. Like, not even that, people just see like man's a little honest man just talking about football. I got no malice, I got no agendas, you know. I'd say that, man. I'm finally not getting what I've been working for, but I'm finally seeing some benefits in the sense that there's a bit of not recognition, that's not the right word, but people are seeing what I wanted it to be. Like, you're seeing a man who just genuinely loves football, and, you know, the youth football, the Arsenal and the rest of it. That's what I wanted, and I'm finally being taken in for that regards. The worst thing, recently nothing's really happened that bad, you know. I brought my camera, I guess that, and I had to shell out some more money for that, and that further put a hole in my pocket. Worst thing, sometimes the worst things end up being the best things, man. Like, there's been, you know, I could have been on a certain channel for a football club, I could have been on a certain Sky Sports, what else, meant to, you know, do something with a certain football club around scouting and seeing their facilities and the rest of it. There's been enough times, man, when I was meant to go, thought I was going to go clear, or thought that the opportunity was there, and anytime my imagination got aroused, whatever force it was, I think it was the universe would just pluck it from me. And I think it used to get, obviously you're gonna get disheartened, didn't it? It used to make me feel, you know, am I not gonna get another chance, this, that and the other. And then I thought, you know what, maybe the universe is just giving me a taste of what it could be like, so I could be hungry. And then I deeped to myself, do you know what, it could be worse, it could be better. I'd say actually the best thing that happened in my life was losing my job. You know, I've been very unlucky in my 25 years. I've been made redundant essentially, and I've kind of been fired. It wasn't really, apologies, it wasn't really a firing. It was a firing, but it weren't like you're fired. It was like, you're not, this ain't for you, you're not levels and that. And it was disheartening, because obviously I'm thinking, how the hell am I going to get paid, this and that. But, you know, it allowed me, this happened years ago, it really allowed me to have the multiple doubts, the financial worries and pressures, and obviously bills to pay, roof over my head that needs to be maintained. It allowed me to soak up all of these pressures and hold it up, like, because, you know, I've been, you know, when it first happened, you know, I've told you lot, well, go and watch that, I can't remember what it's called, Deluded Thoughts. I broke out in a rash due to stress because of financial worries and other things like that and stuff. So then that one there taught me life is going to kick, but just keep a cool head in it, because you can't allow yourself to be too positive or get too negative. You need to see things for what they are. So it just made me stronger. Recently, nothing bad's happened to me recently, I'd say, man. I just take minor L's and try little things that don't work and stuff, but I wouldn't say anything really to answer that question. I wish I looked at the question before, because I really would have sat down and thought about that, man. It was really a good question, man, each one to each one. And you, listen, I've had some tough times, and you say some very good positive messages via Twitter, man. It keeps a guy going, so I appreciate that, and I appreciate everybody's kind messages, man. You really have not a foggiest clue what it does, man. Diabolical has said, when you were younger, did you ever have trials with pro clubs? And what is the highest level you played at? Eastern Junior Alliance was the highest level I played at. And I got the lies with the scouts, we can get you this team, that team. A certain player got signed for Luton, but in my team, and, you know, we both had Kane Rose, who was both a winger, and both wingers turned fullbacks, and I was told, you know, I'm going to get to do the same thing. It didn't happen. Got scouted for Chelsea, told my dad I didn't want to go, because I knew I wasn't going to get in. Trial at Spurs, said I didn't need another right back, and to be fair with you, I remember looking at it, I was like, I'm not better than that right back, so I get it, but that's about it, man. Couple people lying about Millwall and QPR, but other than that, that's where it stopped for me, my guy, man. I'm just a stand-up dude, really. Charmaine Johnson has said, love the content recently, thank you very much. What are your thoughts on how the Arsenal attack will line up next season, with Lacazette potentially being benched every other game? Good problems, you know. If Aubameyang, you know, Aubameyang could have, there was a time Aubameyang was out of the team, and in an ideal world, that's what you want. You want competition for places. Aubameyang's not out of the team because he scores goals and does his thing. I want to see, admittedly, I personally want to see Aubameyang through the middle, but, you know, I don't mind if Aubameyang's more than willing and it helps Lacazette through the middle, Aubameyang on the left, Pepe on the right, Willian behind them. Equally, it could be Willian on the left, Aubameyang up front, Pepe on the right, or Willian on the right, Saka on the left, Aubameyang up front, or Saka on the right, Willian on the left. Or just, we need these good problems, man. If it was me, the lineup I'm trying to go with 9 times out of 10, I'll change it. I want to go with Aubameyang, Pepe and Saka. I just think they all link up, and then have Willian in the 10 role behind them. I think they'd all complement each other well. Equally, I don't mind Saka dropping out because he's still young and that, to obviously accommodate Aubameyang, who will shift over to allow Lacazette to come into the team. But I'd be inclined to believe it's going to be Aubameyang, Lacazette and Pepe. You know, either Lacazette or Eddie, you know, they'll both get substituted significantly next season, purely because it seems Arteta demands a lot of his strikers, and he recognises that, because come the 60th or so minute, whoever started is coming off. We need these good problems. So that's what I think. B has said, Gabriel's agent claimed that Gabriel had a bigger contract offer. Oh, you've basically, let me just sum up the question. There's some jargon there. You've basically said, considering that, you know, Gabriel's agent claimed he had better offers from elsewhere, considering we finished 8th and, you know, we look further away from Champions League in ages, what could have tempted Gabriel? And at the end of the day, obviously we failed and stuff, but I think many footballers look at today's football, the Premier League, it's a bit mix and match. Like Arsenal, we were poor. We could finish 8th, we could finish 2nd next year. Do you get it? We could win the league. I don't think we can win the league, of course, but the unpredictable nature of it. So I think most people are able to concede that. I'm not glamorizing it, I'm not justifying coming 8th, but I think many I would say it is deep, but it's not that deep for players. I think it's about the project. I think obviously living in London probably played a part. We've got to be serious, it plays a part, and he does seem to fit in with Lacazette and Saliba and Aubameyang with the drippy stuff. The London thing, but at the end of the day, it comes down to the coach. You know, all I would have to say is, if I was a young 22-year-old striker, what do I want to hear? Considering I'm 22, the next move I'm going to make probably going to stay anything from 3 to 5 years there. So significant part of my career, the time when I'm coming up. First thing I ask, do I believe I can play in this league and get called up by Brazil because that's his country and he clearly wants to be? There's one. You know, can this manager help me develop my game? You know, did Arteta do that? Did Arteta tell you, okay, this is where I believe you are now, this is where you improve, this is where I see you in your 1st year, 2nd year, 3rd year and 4th year? If he showed him some progression, then that probably helped him. Then he wants to see how the team line up, what he wants to do in terms of collective tactics. So adding in what I've just said about what he wants to do as a singular person with him, but collectively as a team. Now Gabriel's a ball playing centre half. Obviously he's going to be enticed by the fact that we like to play a high line, the fact that we like to play football. Obviously Arsenal, you know, Wenger ball and our French ties play a part. You know, he's Brazilian, you know, we've got Eddie in his ear. You know, Arteta has to get probably sold in the project of us trying to rebuild and chase getting back into the Champions League and becoming a Premier League team again. And, you know, you look at our strong South American roots, these are things that probably tempted them as well. You know, he was undoubtedly told of what the club's plans are beyond bringing him into the market, whether they pull it off or not, which fans don't know. So I'd say these are the only things that would entice me, my guy, man. How would I improve as a player? How do I fit into your tactics? What tactics do you want to do? How are you going to improve the team? And what are we actually trying to do as a team? You know, there's plenty of reasons, and this doesn't go for us. If you're Arsenal, United, Liverpool, whatever, these are the projects, you know, Spurs, these are the projects. You just got to sell the project, you know. And it's testament. And at the end of the day, money talks, man. We put the money out there. We was able to convince him it is what it is. Saeed has said, seeing how Chelsea have shown to back Lampard and offering insane wages to players, how do you see Arsenal being able to compete in the league? I just want to target 4th. I don't know where we're going to finish without speaking about potential targets, etc, etc. FF Comps has said, any advice for upcoming YouTubers? I've been putting in loads of time making videos on players I like, but getting only a couple subs a day. Stay safe, G. I don't think I'm in any position to give anybody advice because I haven't made a full-time career of this or anything of significance with this. All I could do is say, first and foremost, do it because you like it. Make content because you like it and you'd watch it. Just keep putting in work, man. Not that I've got anywhere, but you see the amount of videos I put out. I remember the days I used to do this and go on Twitter and every one of my subscribers... Yeah, my dude, apologies, the video cut out, it said full memory, but like I was saying, FF Comps, I remember when I used to, every one of my followers, my videos, spam it off. I used to go on Arsenal's Twitter page, you know, anything they added, I was putting underneath my thing, and then the people that were liking it, atting them, do you get? And then atting the followers. I did it until my account got locked, and they said I was spamming, rightly so. So I don't really have any advice. I think what works for me is just I just remained consistent. My first goal was, okay, if I'm going to do this, I want it to be something okay. And I just deeped. You have to be kind of consistent. So I thought, if I just stay in people's face, flood the market, you've got no choice but to seeing it. You know, it's like if we're on a stool and I've got a bunch of mangoes and nobody's looking at my mangoes, but I go out there and I start rubbing it in everybody's faces and shouting, mangoes, mangoes. You might not buy it, but you might look. You're now aware. So that was it, man. Just make sure you know what you're liking. And Rome weren't built in a day. You said couple subs a day. That's better than nothing. That's one person more than you had yesterday. Do you get it? So you don't expect nothing to come quickly overnight, because it's not going to happen if that's what you think. I'm not saying you do, but that would be it. Samuel said, do you envision us lining up and playing similar to Bayern Munich next year? That's how I see Arteta playing. Nah, man. Nah. I think we're going to be a good... If Arteta has his way, I think he wants us to be a side that, you know, the best way of attacking is... defending is attacking, be on the front foot. I don't think he wants us to be a counter-attacking team, but I think he wants us to be a side that is devastating on the counter, which I have seen. And he wants us to put these pretty moves together. You look at Palace, you look at the goals against City, we put some good goals together. Chelsea, forgive me if I'm wrong, we've scored some good finishes. And I think he wants to bring that out more. DS has said, if Willian plays in the 10 position, does that completely rule out Coutinho, or do we need another 10? I don't think it rules out another 10 per se, but in relation to Coutinho, regardless of this, I think that boat's gone. But what do I know? Mr. Barkey Office said, what would be your ideal 11 for next season, including players you would sign? The players we sign thing is dead. In relation to my ideal 11 of the players that we have right now, you know, on paper, Maitland-Niles is still here. Maitland-Niles plays right back, Tierney at left back, centre halves of Gabriel and Saliba. Midfield, Xhaka and Torreira for me. Willian in the 10 position. Up front, at the moment, I would actually go with Aubameyang through the middle, Pepe on the right, Saka on the left. But that's it. Signings is air. I can talk until I'm blue in the face about how much I want Szoboszlai, who said he wants to stay at Salzburg. Partey, 1 minute it's happening, 1 minute it's not. Samore and the rest of it. Yeah, there's not really any point wasting time. Ryan Trinity, apologies, it said top 3 playmakers this last decade. I'll save you that and I'll just say one, Lionel Messi. For me, it's just Messi. There's nobody else. Messi. Simple as. Ibrahim has said, what do you think of Smith Rowe being taught to coaches after the MK Dons game straight away? You know, it probably was just giving him pointers as to what he can and can't do in relation to the game and what he could do better. I don't mind that because I don't know specifically what was said. Is what it is. Gary the Snell has said, what is your favourite season from our trophy drought period? Mine would be 2008 Eduardo injury, or 2011 Van Persie carrying us. 2006 when we got to the Champions League final, none during the Emirates era. You know, maybe that game where we beat Barcelona, but that's about it. Wayne has said, yo DG, hope you're good. You're always one that likes to say experience can be overrated, because it can. You know, if you're 33 and error prone, your experience is dead. Where if you're 19 and consistent, it's irrelevant. Can you give an example of why you believe this is true and give players that show this inside and outside of Arsenal? Well, I'm not going to sit here and give you many examples. You know, if you know, you know, and I implore you to use Google. But you look at Varane, he's shown it. Cesc Fabregas at a point showing it. If you're good enough, you're firmly old enough. Mason Greenwood is showing it. Obviously, there's times where if he was more seasoned, you'd do things differently. But experience can be overrated. Experience is subjective. How do you quantify experience? You know, if I'm a 20-year-old and I've got 100 games and my appearance under my season, you know, and I'm consistent, but you've got a 33-year-old who's got, you know, more caps but is worse. Who's the more experienced? What sort is? It's more the experience you're gaining on, and you know, contextualizing it to the player. So yeah, man, you look at Varane, you look at several other players. De Gea at a point, you know, Cesc Fabregas, a certain Bukayo Saka, learn on the job. So I'd implore you to use Google and whatnot. You can't I do think it can't be overstated, but it can be overrated in relation to experience. And like I said, Wayne, it's subjective for me. But love for your question, my dude. Don't worry, I said, are you going to watch the Spurs doc All or Nothing? Yeah, I am, you know. Secret, I work for a production company and they're actually the ones who helped us shoot that. So of course I am. South London's Finest has said, DG, hope you're good. Do you think Arsenal finally learn from their mistakes of offering average players massive wages, which will later come to regret. I don't know, my guy. Hopefully you learn from giving soccer artists 95 bags a week, Collagen that's 100k a week. You'll learn from this sort of stuff. You'd like to think so. And if you don't, then it's going to be more of the same. Emma said, Arteta said that he wanted Willian to stay for 3 years because he wants to win the Champions League before Willian leaves. Do you think that's possible? I think he said Premier League, and you know, if Arteta shows me everything to believe that we can mount a title challenge, then why not? But right now I don't think we can win a title in the next 3 years. But it is what it is. Mr. Adlib has said, I'm sure you are as excited as I am about Wenger's autobiography. What are you most looking forward to finding out in the book? I hope he's... listen, Wenger's a real guy, whether you like him or not. One thing I've admired but always found questionable about Wenger is even when his enemy's doing wrong, he takes it all to the grave. It's like, I'm not going to say nothing. I want him to spill the beans on everything. So fans, even if they don't agree with you, they could see things. Because obviously Wenger for signings, Wenger did differ. Wenger didn't do the right things at times. But he wanted Griezmann, for example. There's several times Wenger said, bring in my man, and we didn't do it. He didn't want Mustafi. You get it? Not to get at people. And he's got the firing line. So for me, Wenger, let us blame you for things that you should be blamed for, not being blamed for things you should be blamed for, and more. So I'd say that. And just I would like to know his thoughts in relation to when it became apparent he was closing down his time at Arsenal, or he was going to be relieved of his duties. So yeah, Omar said, do you see this Bayern Munich side dominating for the next few years, or will it be like 2012-11? Who knows, man? Everybody says they can mount a dominance. Any team can dominate until the next year, but you'd be inclined to believe they're in the best position to do it. Now, Liverpool won the Champions League last season, well, 2 seasons ago, so they might have something different to say. But you look at the way Bayern Munich are coached. You look at the way they are on and off the field in all their operations. You look at, you know, the youth in their side. You know, Davis has come out of nowhere and solidified himself as a left back. I say out of nowhere. He was signed for 10, 11 million and solidified himself. You know, Kimmich isn't that old. They've brought in Sane when, you know, most people will be content with their options. They've brought in Sane. You know, Gnabry is there. Apologies, people. Kingsley Coleman is there. Do you get it? They've got many youth players around, so you didn't, and they're all. It's like, it's not even a youth thing like that. Like when you consider it all, I guess Davis could be inexperienced on the face of it all, in it, but he doesn't play like that, and he's a bit like Saka and Greenwood and Foden for me. They're them young players. They know their thing. They're made for this level. So I guess you could say Davis is technically inexperienced, but excluding him, you look at the youth players around, they're not really inexperienced, you know. How many games has Coleman, Gnabry and them man there got between them? Sane coming in now. Lewandowski probably should have won Ballon d'Or if it didn't get shagged. You've got that. You know, I don't know if they're going to make Perisic a permanent signing, but, you know, they've got they've got the depth, they've got everything, man. And, you know, there's not too many ways you could probably see that Bayern Munich team improving. So I don't know for the next few years because things can change, but you imagine they're going to be serious contenders to retain it and go back next year. Who knows? You could say they probably need to inject a bit more youth in the team. You know, Boateng been about for a while now, been a loyal serviceman. Muller's doing his thing, but he's not going to be around forever. Perisic is in a permanent signing, so maybe just inject more youth or more people with time on their hands in the case of that. Not that they haven't got youth already, but it's all set up for them to do perfect things. Mr. Adlib has said, which club has the biggest regret? Chelsea selling De Bruyne, Liverpool selling Sterling, us selling Gnabry, City selling Sancho, Tottenham for Bell. I won't say Spurs for Bell because, you know, obviously they didn't win no league titles, but it weren't like a thing. Because let's be honest, you know, Bell, he scored a free kick against us at left back, but Bell wasn't always messed in a Spurs shirt. He wasn't always a world-class player in a Spurs shirt. So if they sold him before we got to see the Gareth Bell against Maicon and he went somewhere else and did that, then that would be different from Spurs. But I think Spurs got their dues out of him. You know, they got Champions League. He had his good moments. They made how much money for him, and time goes on, innit? I think you could exclude them. Man City for Sancho's and L because, you know, definitely with Sane going, you know, it is what it is. But I guess money can buy a way out, and if they get Messi, it's not a thing really. Liverpool selling Sterling again, you know, it's not really a thing because they've both divorced and gone on and done okay things. At the time, you know, they got 50 million, which did look like overpriced for him, and he's proved it right. You know, Sterling could probably do a job for Liverpool in this team now, but, you know, I wouldn't say it's a regret. They've got Salah and Mane, who's helped them win the Premier League, so I wouldn't necessarily say it's a regret. Chelsea losing Kevin De Bruyne is a fat L, fat L, fat L, and I think that's on level with Gnabry. You know, Gnabry's an L because we ain't gonna bring in, you know, we couldn't bring in Gnabry right now. Do you get it? Gnabry's a fat L. We didn't see big P's from him. You know, we should be seeing 50 million if you want to sell him minimum. He's a £100 player in today's day and age, in my opinion. But we should have been seeing 50. We saw like 3.5 to 5 million, if I remember correctly. One of them fees there. So it's a big L. And for years we was missing a winger, and it was so easily avoidable. So I think Kevin De Bruyne and Gnabry for the respectable clubs are equal, man. You know, you look at the creativity Chelsea could use with Kevin with their current options. Gnabry, obviously, would Pepe be here? No disrespect, or how would it have changed? Gnabry can't change everything by himself, but he could have made significant money for this team or been a significant player. Did neither. You know, congratulations to Gnabry. So I'd say us and Kevin De Bruyne is an L, both on the same level. Don't really think it's an L for Spurs. Or Liverpool, really and truly. City's close behind because City got money to take their way out of it. I guess Chelsea do as well, and by our logic of spending 70 million on a winger, we do as well. But that's what I feel, man. Nathan Brown has said, if you were a director of football at Arsenal, what would your model be? What kind of players would you snap up regarding transfers? Well, I like youth players, so it'd be more so the teenagers to early 20s. I'd be bringing in players with resale value. I'd actually be bringing in players that we can make a profit. You know, you look at things like Benatia. We could have bought him back for a couple of million and sold him for a couple of million. These are the things Chelsea do. I'd be a sort of Chelsea sort of mindset at Arsenal, because I really admire how Chelsea do with the young players. If they ever, when they sell their players, they're getting decent money, and we're not. So I'd come with that sort of stuff, man. Obviously, I'd need to find players that, you know, could immediately improve and add impact to our team. But I'd say I'd more target the players of tomorrow with potential resale value with our current model. Apologies, people. Innocent has said, do you think Bellerin should be sold and replaced with someone who can actually support Pepe? Yeah, I mean, I want to keep Bellerin. I'm keen to see what a full season fit and under Arteta can do for you. But if he wants to leave, I wouldn't mind that, because one thing Bellerin needs to do, and is in his best interest, and I think Arteta's angry about it, he needs to overlap a bit more. He seems too unsure, and I'm really struggling to see consistency in Bellerin's game. I know he's ended the season strongly with the FA Cup, but yeah, man, I would. As much as I like Bellerin, when I look at it, there's not really an outstanding attribute about his game. It used to be pace. He doesn't do that well. I mean, he doesn't accelerate like that. And for me, you know, if you're not going to have an outstanding attribute, if you're not going to, you know a man like, with all due respect to James Milner, because James Milner is better than that. But you know James Milner, if he was probably to talk about his standout attributes, I'd say he's got an okay passing range and he's got an engine. But, you know, he's very much a steady Eddie. He does the basics well. If I don't mind a man like that, if we can bring in a right back like that does the basics well, that tracks, follows their runners, you know, puts out fires before it's happened. I don't mind that sort of thing. We just need someone competent, and Bellerin's going to have to start showing that. Vester has said, do you think we'll make more transfers after Gabriel? I do, but I'm not too sure how much more game time we will see. I mean, how much more transfers we will see. Ash River said, realistic goals for Arsenal in the next 2 to 3 years. Simply become a consistent top 4 challenging club again and keep improving year on year out. Stephen Carr said, in your opinion, who are the best players in our youth academy who haven't made a first team appearance and can make up their step up to first team football next season? I don't really like these questions because I don't know. In relation to next season, it's down to them. We've got a bunch of talented players. Again, it's not for me to say who's more talented than the other. There's a bunch of talented boys. You lot know me, I'm a big fan of Ben Cottrell. He gave a good account of himself against MK Dons. He might make it. If Tyrese John Jules doesn't go out on loan again, there's opportunities for him, I guess, to some capacity. Miguel Aziz, he's going to have a big season for 23s and needs to adapt to that level, but he could get it. Beyond that, I'm a big fan of Amari Hutchinson, Mon Louise, what's his face, Patino. There's many players, but I don't like to, not that I'm saying it's you, I like to stay away from these questions about who's the next one, the kid, who's the best, who's this, who we're bringing in, and all of these sort of things. So I don't know, man. It's down. That's a question for Arsenal's management and coaching stuff. Jamie has said, who would you have as backup left back if we sell Kolasinac? I'd let Saka do it, to be fair with you. I'd let Saka do it. I'd actually just ride with Saka and him in the squad. I'd try and let our scouts do their job thing, but I'd let Saka do it if need be. If we have Tierney as left back number 1 and Saka as 2, we won't have a left mid. Yeah, we can. If Tierney plays, Saka moves up there. Aubameyang can play out there. Players can. We've got wingers in the team. Willian can play there. We will have one, my guy. We will have one. We will have one. Next question is, what do you think? Teacher Black said, what do you think about the situation at Barcelona? It's a mess, and it's been a mess for years. And, you know, for someone that's been there for 2 decades, since 13 years of age, like Lionel Messi, you know, for him to want to leave where Barcelona's been home for him, it's really got to be down the pot, you know. And Barcelona have been allowed to mismanage for years because they've got Messi, and it's clouded things. And, you know, these things it's fully the death of a great footballing establishment. They've still got quality players if Messi leave. None are on his level. And it is what it is. It really is what it is. It really is. It's quite disgraceful. It's really disgraceful how that club's being handled. You know, when you've got Reines Michels, you've previously had Pep Guardiola, you've had Johan Cruyff. It's disrespectful. These footballing legends. That what's happening to Barcelona. When you used to think of Barcelona, they're the world's envy, you know. They should be up. They still are a big club, of course. But when you think of Barcelona, you should think of the best football on the planet, the best players on the planet, the most consistent team on the planet, groundbreaking and innovating. Have Barcelona been any of this in the last 5 years? No, they've been embarrassed several times against Liverpool, against Roma, against Bayern Munich. They've been embarrassed in the Champions League. Messi plays for the team, so Messi has to take some responsibility. But Messi can't change it alone. And if he is demotivated to be at Barcelona and wants to try something new, I can't blame him. You've also asked me, do I see Arsenal finishing the top 4 with our signings made? On paper, we've only made 1 signing, Willian. Does that change much? There's talk of Gabriel. I know Saliba's here next year. It's not changing much. I think a full season under Arteta, we can mount a stronger claim for top 4. But I'm not prepared to stick my neck out yet because I don't see enough to consistently agree with that view. Do you get it, my guy? Convincingly, sorry. Maverick has said, basically you've asked me, it seems that Arteta and Arsenal are looking to the past glories of Arsenal, athletic, powerful, endurance players. Something we've abandoned since Barcelona's small technical model. Do you think this is the way forward for us? I don't even think it matters. I think it's about, because I see hella midgets in the Premier League, you know, Bernardo Silva and David Silva, they're on it physically because it's the mindset thing. I don't even think it's a height thing. But we do need some steel. We undoubtedly need some steel. You need some steel in the middle of the park. So if you can get Partey, if you can get a 6'3" giant in what's his name, Gabriel, and someone who's 6 foot plus in Saliba, why not? But it's about the mindset, because equally I've seen small guys that are on it. We've also had at this team guys that are big, but they're easy to brush off the ball. So what I want to see is the hunger and the desire and the work ethic more than anything. But it does seem like we're looking for a couple of athletic players because we do struggle in that regards. Finally, K. Jalou has said, what's the most annoying what's the most annoying aspect of modern football in your view? It's a difficult one. I would say, don't get me wrong, I like the way the game is advancing, but I don't like the way we talk about goalies. We're not speaking about goalkeeping, we're speaking about ball playing. Or even if they're dodgy, we're focusing on that. You know, same goes for defending. I would say that. I would say everybody wants to claim to know a wonder kid or be the first person, or everyone wants to proclaim a wonder kid. No one wants to just let young players develop and just document it. I'd say that. Don't get me wrong, I want to win. I think winning is everything. But I think when you just look at, I'm not talking about trophies, I'm just talking about winning as just the only success in football. I think it's a very dim view. It's not that I have anything against stats. It's how people manipulate and use stats to push agendas and mix stuff. Like I said, not stats, because I think when you marry stats and the eye test, it can tell a picture. But you lot know you lot know already how I think. You lot know as well. You can get stats that can manipulate. You can manipulate any sort of stat, and I think it clouds the pictures for people, myself included, when I'm seeing stuff online. So I'd say that. You've also said, on a completely different note, which Spurs players, past or present, do you respect the most, and which players do the broader Arsenal fans respect the most? I can't speak for broader Arsenal fans. I can only speak for myself. The former Spurs player I respect the most, Sol Campbell, without a doubt. I had to do it. Also, what's his face? The new one that's come from Spurs and signed for us. Had to do it. No, on a serious note, agenda aside, Spurs players I actually respect: Ledley King, effing good centre half. A shame about his knee. Jermaine Defoe, all the man them from London. You definitely, you know, all the man them that in my, like from London where I grew up and stuff. We all like Defoe, and he's one of them. He's like man them, innit? So I'd say Defoe, King, Bale. I like my guy Dele Alli and Harry Kane. I think they're ballers, more so Harry Kane. Van der Vaart was good. You couldn't hate on Luka Modric at all. Robbie Keane was my guy. Michael Carrick, you know, at West Ham and Spurs was a baller. We can class him as United, but if you want to say Spurs, trying to think, man. Trying to really think, man. I wouldn't put him on this level, but I admired the partnership of Jan Vertonghen and Toby Alderweireld when they were in their prime at Spurs. Same goes for Kyle Walker. I wouldn't put them at the same level I put with Ledley King and that, but I salute them. Bit like, for Defoe purposes, but Aaron Lennon's man them. You know, Loris was a quality keeper. How could you hate him? I think that's about it, really and truly. I think that's about it. There's not another Spurs player. So yeah, man. Thank you very much for your comments, man. Let me check. There's no other questions on last week's Q&A, and if not, we'll keep it moving and get the hell out of here, people. My word, I bring out so many vids. Here we go. 6 days ago. 2 point something K views. You lot took that one in. I hope that continues, people, man. Don't worry, it said, where does Ben Cottrell play for people like me that don't know, and can he possibly challenge whoever is in the first team in that position? Well, it's down to him to challenge in central midfield. I don't know. I love Ben. Probably needs to bulk up a tiny bit physically, but he's a central midfield. He can play in a couple of roles. I've seen him play out wide and at fullback before. He's probably a centre mid best placed. He's very much a technical Arsenal midfielder. He's good receiving the ball between the lines. He plays with his head up. He's always checking his shoulders and scanning his surroundings. He's got a good passing range. He's a small guy, but he's diminutive. He's very energetic. He puts himself around. He plays with that English commitment. He's not afraid to put his foot in. Like you saw, he's a very tidy player, very much an Arsenal player. I really got a lot of time for him, and I'm intrigued to see how he develops at Arsenal. So there's that, man. What other questions have we got? I think that's it, people. I really think that's it. So if I've missed you out, apologies, people. But it's been a fantastic Q&A, like it always is. Please get in the comments and ask questions for next week. Please keep an eye out for when I ask you across the social media platforms for the questions. You know, thank you very much for your consistent support. It means the world. On that note, though, people, deluded. I'm out. Stay safe. Back again soon.